Have you ever wondered how you can grow your business and work less? Find out how with my very special guest, Dr. Behrooz Behbod. As the entrepreneur's doctor, Dr. Behrooz helps health professionals turned entrepreneurs. Specifically, he helps health coaches, consultants, clinic owners, and startup founders grow and scale their business and while working less. So they have the freedom to do the work they love beyond work too. Dr. Behrooz is a Harvard and Oxford trained public health physician with 25 years plus international experience across health, business, and education. Hi, Dr. B. How are you?
Hello, Dawn. It's good to be back. It's lovely to see you. And I've just
Lovely.
loved our chat together just now. So,
We've had a brilliant chat before, but
yeah,
it's not been recorded, but it was very, very useful. But Bruce, we met, so it's coming up, we've known each other coming up 2 years
yeah,
now,
gosh,
and we met on Clubhouse, didn't we?
we did
And
indeed.
I've been part of your mastermind. I've spoken on your summits, and I've sort of we've grown together. You're a little bit ahead of me, and we've grown together, so it's been an interesting 2 years. Like you said, it's the second time you've been on the podcast, so it would be brilliant to tell us, how, and you've been developing your business for a while now, haven't you? So how has things changed since we first met? So we met, I think, January, February 2020, and the whole world has changed since then.
The whole world has changed, it's opened up. So finally we can
Yes,
get out and about and actually meet
yes,
people. I think briefly, Dawn. So, I mean, for those who haven't seen the last episode, as you remember, we're both health professionals. We've both got a public health, population health mindset. And what got me initially into entrepreneurship was trying to find a way to keep helping more people, but through other means beyond academic research and maybe public sector work, but actually with the private sector. Because you and I know there's so many entrepreneurs and startups that are getting into the health space. It's booming, but they're not all creating the best solutions. And so we're there, you and I actually, to help them navigate the system, but also help more. But one thing that changed, and I'll keep this brief and feel free to elaborate, is actually based off conversations you and I have had, which haven't been recorded, if only they
yes.
were, you know, speaking to fellow health professionals, Dawn, I think we've got to first figure out, why are we interested in entrepreneurship? Like the true underlying reason, not what we think or we want to say that we think others will like to hear. But in all honesty, we always talk about what is the problem you want to solve with your business or whatever kind of project. Most of us as health professionals get into entrepreneurship because we want to solve a problem, but it's not it's us. We have a problem that we want to fix,
Yeah.
and each one of us has a different one. So to keep a long story short, for me, it was a desperate need to work less, a desperate need. And it was burnout. I think you know this story very well. Burnout a couple of years ago that made me think, okay, I need to find a way to earn my own income and have control over how I work and what I do so that I'm doing things that I love. And so that's all that's changed. I've really honed in on the work that makes an impact, that generates revenue, but it also gives me the joy that I'm smiling beyond, my day job, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But happy to elaborate.
Brilliant. That is such a good story, because I think, we share some sort of like our sort of genesis of why we've come into business, and also the joy that comes through that, and having some control, doing the things that you love, doing the things that, for me, definitely, to doing the things that I would have loved to have done in my day job, and that I've got the freedom to do that, and also the authenticity and the professionalism to do that with that philosophy of public health and population health, and how we can support people to do that.
Yeah.
Um, what is your, I do know this, but what is the job that you do part time?
So in terms of the business, the entrepreneur's doctor, or the day job?
Day job.
Day job, I'm a consultant in public health, so physician, basically.
Yeah, brilliant. And I
Yeah,
think what I really like about your story is I think that was my intention when I was thinking about starting a business. I wanted to work part time. I wanted to work
mm,
towards working part time and have my business alongside that. So I'm really interested about how that works in practice, and
sure.
also, like you said, how you can actually work less and grow the business as well.
Yeah.
So, why is doing less better for you and your business?
So important. So I'll answer your first question first, is like, how do you actually go about working less?
Hmm.
It's challenging. You've got to make some sacrifices, financial ones especially.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a case of survival, really. Honestly, my son, when I was burning out, I was angry every single day after work. And he was only 4, I think, at the time. And he looked
Hmm.
at me, held my hand, is like, what the heck are you doing, Dad? Something along those lines. And so that really just made me think, I can't carry on like this. So I'll have to come down in the income and actually pay less tax as well that
Yeah.
way, but have that freedom now. So for example, the way I've set it up now is, and again, I don't want to, say something that irritates people, but because it does, but I have a 4-day weekend now. It's like Friday.
Lovely.
I love it. I still work, and I work probably more than quite a lot of people, but I'm doing what I love and I never see it as work anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. I hope I answered that one. You
Yes,
just
you
have to
did.
find it.
Yes, you did.
And just so you know, the health profession is in desperate need of people like us that also think outside the box. So if we can take that skill set, thinking in an entrepreneurial way, and put it into our job as an entrepreneur, I think we add value. And actually, the last thing I'll say on that one before I pivot is, working less. Actually, I feel like I'm more productive in the 3 days that I do work than I ever did working full time. People see more of a smiley face too. So that's that one. Going back to
Brilliant.
why working less is key. I think less is more. It really is more. And it's about being clear, but I'll share 3 reasons. So I think the first one, again, speaking to fellow health professionals who are interested or toying with the idea of entrepreneurship. The first one is us. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be smiling. It's a hard job. You and I know this. It's a
Yeah.
hard job running your own business, but you smile because you love what you do. It's good for your health, it's good for your well-being, but also if you do it right, and I think most people fail at this, is setting it up at the start so you actually do generate the time freedom, which is what a lot of us are looking for rather than just more income. But
Hmm.
if you do it right, you get some of that freedom back. The next one is your business. I mean, I know so many entrepreneurs who are actually glorified employees of their own business. We're working inside our job, right? You're good at this. You delegate, you recruit people, but not everyone is.
Yeah.
Most people actually work more insane hours in their own business. And some of the people that I know, without mentioning any names, but if they listen to this, they know who they are. They have no time to work on their business to grow it. They just constantly head down, focused
Hmm.
on delivering services, which is wrong. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're just throwing numbers out there, but there is this Pareto principle, right? Only about a fifth of what you do really makes the biggest impact. So focus on that. And I'll give you one nugget on that. I think if you can figure out who your ideal client is and what their transformation is, then you're home. You're home. And the last reason, apart from you and your business, is your clients. So your customers. At the end of the day, people pay more for results and they pay for speed. They don't pay for products and services. They don't pay for features. They don't pay for how many times are you going to see me every day or every week. They actually want less and they want results. So if you've got a system that actually works and you can deliver that system, give it to them in the simplest, easy to kind of swallow pill as you can, and they'll pay you more for it.
I love that. That is really good. Um, I have a few follow-up questions
Go for
on that.
it.
I think, and this has been my experience, and we've talked about this a lot. I think that you know, sacrificing finance is a difficult hurdle in your head to do to actually make that jump. So I got laid off. So that
Mm.
actually made it easier for me. I
Yeah.
had the idea in my head, I got laid off, and I thought, all right, go for it.
Mm.
And then you have this, so I work for the NHS, girl and woman. So got a monthly pay packet every month for 35 years, and then you haven't got one. And
Yes.
then there's something around the psychology of that is something around mindset that you have to sort of to deal with. Then that's my thing. And
Mm.
I think that health professionals, you say health professionals are natural entrepreneurs,
Mm.
but and you also say they need a safe way to go into entrepreneurship. Maybe that knowledge, that sort of support, that mentoring to say it's going to be all right. It is a big mind shift, but the benefits are theirs. And so you're talking about the benefits being for your well-being, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a bit, but also in the productivity, and sort of generally being happy, and generally being happier. and
Mm.
and also, we'll come to talk this later. It's there's a difference. I know not all health systems are the same, but
Mm.
say in the United Kingdom, it's the NHS, and there's a different way of working, isn't there, really? And you also say that health professionals are naturally interested in entrepreneurship, or naturally entrepreneurial, but there is a bit of a shift. So I want to talk a little bit about mindset, and sort of like how you can get yourself to that place where you it's the right thing to do, and what support you might need to do that,
Yeah,
actually.
of course, Dawn. So first of all, just I hope you'll put this link in there, but I call it the 7 secrets. It's free. It's on YouTube already, so you don't need to
Yes.
even opt into anything. But on my website, if you go /7 secrets, you'll see all the 7 videos. Basically, I want to touch on 2 things related to the mindset, but then how do you turn that into strategy? Mindset is everything. So I think number one, I say we're natural entrepreneurs mainly with respect to finding and assessing what a problem is in our job, in our day
Yes.
job. We're very good at this,
Yes.
and we're good, and you know this, you've done this as well. We're good at finding the resources and the team, putting them together to resolve that problem and overcome it. What we're not necessarily good at in the NHS, it might be different in other countries, is how to monetize that
Mm-hmm.
process and
Mm-hmm.
turn it into a business. And as you
Mm-hmm.
know, not every idea is a business idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great
Mm-hmm.
idea for the health sector. So I think the mindset issue is, first of all, knowing why is it that you want to get into this in the first place. And this is the first thing that I do with anyone, because most of us, as I said earlier on, most of us, and this isn't for everyone, Dawn, this is just for people like me right now, so I'm only speaking to people like me. Most of us kid ourselves into trying to make ourselves believe what we say publicly, in
Yeah.
that, oh, we want to help everyone, and we do, but we do that in our day job anyway. We're only getting into business to help ourselves. That's the honest truth. We
Yeah.
want to work less, we want to make some income, we want to have that freedom. That's the bottom line. I
Yeah.
don't care what else you say. Do your day job if you want to help people clinically,
Yeah.
because you can do that, right?
Uh-huh.
So in terms of the business, most of us as health professionals, we have to be very careful. And I'm being serious right now, because I see a lot of people going through what I went through for 10 years, and I don't want to see that again. Number one is we get, we don't understand what kind of business we want to get into. For me, you've been through this, you've been on my journey. I thought the startup world, the digital health, a tech startup, but you work more, you don't get paid a dime. And those who are real serial entrepreneurs will take you for a ride, right? Sweat equity, shares, pay later, you'll never get paid. I guarantee it. If you do, you're lucky, and you're one of a minuscule few. So beware, if you're going down that path, be very mindful of what you're giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other one is as a consultant, as an advisor, that I think you're very familiar with. And the challenge with this one is that we don't set things up in a way to, essentially we're leaving money on the table. We don't set things up in a way so that we don't work more hours, we actually work fewer hours, but actually we can potentially earn more as well.
Mm-hmm.
So to cut a long story short, the mindset is about knowing what is the true, if you're really honest with yourself, what is the true reason? And one of those 7 secrets asks you to go through this exercise by yourself. Um, and that's it. And I think just to one last tip on that, if I may, which kind of probably segues into your message. Is this a good time to
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think one thing, there's two things, and I'll keep it short, the other one. One thing that I've learned is that as soon as you understand what the offer is that you're giving out to people, then everything else works well. Most of us work the other way around. We think about what is the problem we want to solve, what's the business model, blah, blah, blah. Just come up with a great offer that is irresistible. Test that out multiple times with the right kinds of people, and then work backwards to see if you can backfill it. Because if the offer doesn't sell itself, good luck, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's free, good luck.
Yeah.
So that's one. But I think one thing that helps master that offer in a short, sharp way, which is again this free training that I've got with Heath. I was coaching Heath, a
Yes.
mutual friend of ours.
A mutual friend,
Um,
lovely friend.
so for about 45 minutes, I've put this video out there. You can watch it. I'm coaching him on his 60-second pitch. And once you can get your pitch, and I'm not talking about a startup pitch to investors, I'm talking about a pitch to your ideal customer.
Yeah.
Once you can get your message out to who is your ideal client, what is the pain point you're solving, and what is your offer, and especially why are you more the best person suited for this? You can say all of that, by the way, in 60 seconds. Once you can hone in on your messaging, then you know your business model, you know what you're going to sell, you know who you're going to serve, and everything else falls into place.
Love that. Love that. Love that. And I think it's a journey, isn't it? Because I know
Yeah,
that
it is.
I have, I'm going to say struggled, although I don't want to say that, but it's something I've worked a lot on. Is like who is your ideal client and what is the offer? I love the way you've said what's the offer first, because that's something that I recently said in a coaching client to a coaching client. They told me their idea for their business, good idea, but I immediately asked them, so what's the offer? And it became very, very clear that that was something that we needed to
Work on.
work on, because we work with professionals, we work with people who are driven, they know what they're doing, and they have good ideas. I've never heard a bad idea yet, but actually, what will you be delivering? And there's also something about a transformation, isn't it? What are you helping? What are you solving for that person that your client is? Is the key, because people will pay for that, and that is the thing. And whatever it is, that's what you have to be really, really clear about. What are you making easier for the client, particularly in a service industry as well, which most of my clients are. So I really, really like that. And you talk about messaging, and that I know we
Mm.
spoke about this before we came on air. My theory, yet to be tested, I know I'm testing it at the minute, is that for health entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
particularly because of the style of work that we've done and the collaborative way we've done it, we're not thinking about marketing. We're not thinking about, who's our client. I have had several clients come to me and said, I've set this business up. And I'm going, yeah, that's cool, but I've got no clients. And I'm like, and I'm now saying, which is quite rude actually, what did you expect to happen? Because, we have the idea for the business and I did it myself. You're like, I'm a consultant. That's it. But part of the process was actually going to talk to people about what services could offer that would be useful. That was part of my process, which I talk about in Nurture Your Network, my book. And so like finding out from your network what sort of what your transferable skills are and how they could serve others. And I
yeah.
think and then how do you market that? How do you let people know? Now we've both got podcasts, we write on social media, but I think that's something that's quite alien to health entrepreneurs, actually, to do that. Maybe all entrepreneurs, I don't know. What do you think?
All entrepreneurs, honestly, even the serial entrepreneurs are terrible marketers. Um, and marketing is the breadwinner, it's the
Hmm.
rainmaker, as we say, right? So, and marketing begins way before you even have an offer, by the way, and
Hmm.
you know this.
Hmm.
But for the benefit of our audience, I think marketing is everything. It's communication, but it's also about how it links in with your sales strategy. So, honestly, I mean, I share this in the way I teach and work with my clients, but in all honesty, it's a long game. So I think if I could share maybe two or three tips, and I'll hopefully remember these. The first one is to set things up because it takes a long time in terms of organic marketing.
Yes.
Content marketing is
Yes.
very good, what you and I are doing right now. You set things up so that you're essentially planting the seeds, right? And over time, after a year or two, they will flourish. And this is now a garden ready for people to come back to
Mhm,
when they
mhm,
discover you. They'll
mhm,
suddenly look back at all your content and think, oh, wow. But the other added benefit is you've got to really be um, clinical in a way.
mhm,
So you've got to find people who've got the pain that you have to offer,
mhm,
and really serve them just as a health professional.
mhm,
Help them by talking with them, see what their real problem is. Don't try to pitch them something.
mhm,
Try
mhm.
to really understand what is their problem and see if you can help. And if not, refer them on, because you're in the business of helping people solve problems. But I'll give you an example of one thing that worked with my marketing strategy. And I've tried paid recently, adverts,
Mhm,
I've tried
mhm,
organic for quite some time. But one thing that really works well is, number one, I found someone literally on one of the social media groups. We were having a chat about a problem they were having. They knocked on my door. They're like, okay, can you tell me what you would do for me? And I shared with them the 7 secrets
mhm,
on YouTube. They had a quick look at that. They looked at the workbook, which is it's like your book. It's very interactive and gets them to do some work with it, and it's free. So they worked on that. And then they said, now I've got this follow-up question. What can I do with this? And before I had a chat with them, I've already prepared this content for them. So I
mhm,
say, oh, go and have a look at this. And I sent them the clip. They had a look at that, and they had a couple more follow-up. And now they're building this element of, trusting me that, okay,
mhm,
I can actually potentially help them. The next thing, seriously, is just knock on your door and like, can we have a chat? And again, I have that because I prefer working with people in a personalized
mhm,
way,
mhm,
rather than just here's an on-demand course, right?
mhm, mhm,
So the way I work now is essentially, and this is how I would recommend most of us as health professionals to do it in the early days before you automate with a course, for
mhm,
example,
mhm,
is
mhm.
really understand your client, work with them one-on-one or as a group, but really offer this personalized high ticket offer where you can really solve their unique problems and be with them along the journey. And then you'll begin to see what the common issues are before you create an on-demand course. Most people go into the on-demand course the wrong way around. And I've
Yeah,
been there, done that.
yeah, and I have seen that,
Yeah.
and only recently um thought, where's the audience? Where, no, you have to sort of like, it's as you say, it's a long game, and you can be doing content for a year, so done, and then you have your offer, because then you've got, as you say, you've got a community of people who are listening to what you say or can look back at what you say, and then my experience is that the work comes to you. And I haven't tried advertising yet. I am going to, but I need to be really clear about that sort of like first offer before I do. That's something I'm working through at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really important. And I think that wisdom, thank you for sharing that, Dr. B, that's the secret, that though that health entrepreneurs and many entrepreneurs need support and guidance with. Now, you have a course, a mastermind. How are you helping people to do this?
Yeah. So just to add to that before I say how I help people. So the advertising, the paid advertising, do not turn it on until, as you just said, until you've really plugged all the holes in your
Yes.
pipeline or funnel, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. Be clear that it works, and then switch on the
Yes.
top screen. But just in addition to that, one of the challenges that most people have is they turn the taps on, let leads come in, whether they're paid ads or
Mhm.
organic ads, whatever. But then once you even give them, let's say, a free lead magnet or whatever opt-in,
Mhm.
even then they don't engage with it. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done after that. And
Absolutely.
a lot of people that offer programs or training or consulting, they usually just work with one aspect of it, whether it's the marketing or the sales or the
Mhm.
course creation. So it's a system. It's a system at the end of the day. And I don't offer a mastermind group anymore, and I
Mhm.
don't offer a course anymore. The
Mhm.
way I work is actually one-on-one or as a group. So if someone needs my help, I found that the way that I find engagement and actually get results for people is when I'm really holding their hand and working with them. And
Yeah.
I've become very selective, Dawn. So I actually say no to people now, which I love, by the way. It's such a
Yeah.
good feeling.
What a good place to be.
It is really good. And anyone can do that, because once you identify your ideal client, you know who is not your customer. And I won't go into the depth of that now, but basically, once you've got that honed in, you know who's going to get results by following what you have to offer, but also who's more likely to follow your tips.
Yeah.
Because it's all about action taking. It's not about just putting more knowledge into your head. So
Yeah.
that's why I've pivoted away from just giving content out and actually problem solving with people along the way in their journey. That's how I work as a consultant, essentially, or a coach. Um, and the group level approach is really just, as you know, there's power in the group calls,
Absolutely.
um, and there's engagement, and people work together. But most of the people that I work with have already been through that journey, and now they just want to solve their problems. They don't want more group. They just want to work one on one.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And how can people hear about this, Behrooz?
Oh, thanks, Don. So entrepreneurs.doctor. So hopefully the link is somewhere
Yes, we'll
here,
have
there,
the link.
everywhere.
We'll have the link
Um,
to the 7 steps and to the so it's all on your website, isn't
it's
it?
all there.
Basically,
Yeah,
it's all, yeah,
it's all
it's all
there.
there.
It's all
But we'll sort of like break it down as well,
there.
so
Excellent.
that it's really really clear. Now we've been talking about how sort of like work affects your health and well-being, but a
Yeah.
question I ask all my guests, and I've asked you this before, is how do you stay focused, positive, productive, and maintain your health and well-being? And I say that as somebody who it's more than a side hustle. I think it's not good to call it a side hustle. That you've got a job, and you're managing this. You look so well on it. How do you do it?
Oh, thank you, Dawn. Thank you. I'm suffering from the remnants of a flu, so I'm coughing away in between speaking. So I don't know how I
You
do it.
can't tell.
But um, but no, in all honesty, it depends what you want and what a good quality life looks like for you.
Mhm.
I think there's a few ways of answering that question, but number one is doing less. That's number one.
Mhm.
And doing more of what actually gives you energy. I end of every email, every message, I say keep thriving, and I mean it. Do whatever makes you thrive. And the one thing that I'll say, and you asked me this earlier, it's like, what's a good book that you've read?
Mhm.
And I called it News, because just last week school finished for my son. He's only 6,
Oh, bless him.
and one of the books was titled News, and it was him writing on I think they did this with all the pupils, but
Yeah.
every Monday they'd say what have they done
Yeah.
on a weekend,
We
right?
used to do it. We used to do it. I can't believe they still do
I
it.
never did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did that.
We
Oh,
did it
anyway,
every Monday news. Yes.
have you still got that book, by the way? You should.
No.
But it's
I have nothing.
scary. It's scary. Like, as a father, as a parent, looking back at that, you realize what you may have not done or done for your
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
It's scary, and that's what it all comes down to. I know a lot of health professionals who are so busy building their careers, going off on
Mhm.
training
Mhm.
programs and
Mhm.
fellowships.
Mhm.
They lose track of what really
Yeah.
matters. Why are we doing all of this?
Yeah.
Even those that get onto entrepreneurship, they can really go down the wrong path as
Yeah.
well.
They
So I
can.
think that one part of the answer to your question briefly is doing less and being focused. The other one really is, whatever you're leaving behind has to be so painful, and you've got to keep reminding yourself of how painful that is, so that you never give up and go back. So
I love that. I love that.
yeah,
I do. I really do. And I'll tell you why. Because as I
yeah,
said, I was laid off and it wasn't a happy time for me. And, my fail safe, because I like to take calculated risks, is that, I'm a nurse. I could go back to work. I could be a manager. I could do whatever. But the thing in my mind is that I actually don't want to do that. I'm enjoying this. So I have to give it my
yeah,
best shot to be a success. And it's sort of like, so it's a plan, do, act, sort of
yeah,
thing. But that is, I give myself, I divide my year into 6 months, and I give myself 6 months to, if I, keep going for 6 months and then make a decision, and then something always happens because you're working towards it, which again goes back to what we were saying at the beginning about mindset. But that, and the thought of having to work in that quite controlled way, and there's reasons for that, obviously, but I think one of the things that keeps me going is the freedom to, if I want to pursue something, I can pursue something. If I want to concentrate on something, I can do that. Bit of work about honing it down still to do, but that's the journey, and that's the thing that I'm doing. So I really like that point. I really like that point. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries. And can I add to that?
You can. Of course you can.
I've just got to add to that. I think it's really important that it's, goes back to safely pivoting, because
Yes.
not for you didn't have the option when you were
Yes.
laid off, as you
Yeah.
said, right?
Yeah.
A lot of us still have that option. I mean, for me, I almost quit my job when I burnt out.
Yeah.
But the thing that comes with it is we've got a family to support, we've got
Mhm.
mortgages. I'm sure
Mhm.
you had all of this to
Yes.
think about.
Yes.
So there is a way, and one of the biggest challenges that us as health professionals have is, number one, we feel like we don't have the time to devote to this kind of business, but actually you don't need that much time to build it, really.
Mhm.
And the second thing is we're always afraid of, what will others think?
Yeah.
And in all honesty, the way I pitch it is, look, you've got a ton of experience, professionally and lived experience. If you don't share that with people and actually offer what you can offer in terms of solutions to people's problems, you're doing a disservice to the community by not
Mhm.
helping them. So you better get out there and help people.
Love that. Love that. Love that. It's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you.
Likewise.
Brilliant again, so second time round with the podcast. Thank you for everything that you said. What I usually ask people is there one tip? We've had loads of tips, and thank you for that. Is there one tip, one actionable tip that you would like to leave the audience with before you go?
I'd love to do that, actually, Dawn. And it starts off with, it goes, basically it's a follow on from the why. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're there to solve our own problem, right? Whatever that may be. But a lot of us want more time back. We don't just want to make more money, we want more freedom. So go back and figure out, what is it that you actually love delivering in terms of doing things like you love talking to people, engaging with people on a podcast or elsewhere. Figure out what it is that you thrive on, and then find out who is willing to pay for what you have to offer. It's the other way around, but
Mhm.
often we forget that actually we're building a business to treat our lives well. We're
Mhm.
trying to enjoy ourselves, right?
Mhm.
So figure out what you enjoy, and of those things, who's willing to pay. There'll always be someone, you just have to work hard to find them.
Yeah.
And then you narrow down on who the ideal client is for what you love to offer. Everything else is noise, in all honesty. Don't do it the other way, which is the traditional business way of finding problems to solve that are someone else's problem and trying to resolve them, if your goal is to build a business that treats you well.
Love that. Build a business that treats you well. Thank you, Dr. Behrooz. It's been
Thank
brilliant as
you.
always. And that's it for the Dawn Jarvis show. It was a good one today. If you like what you've heard, like, share, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.